Well, hello again. It's been a very long time since I've released one of these things, but there are some newer horror films you might have missed. Maybe you haven't. Some of you have Netflix, some of you don't. That's cool. Coincidentally, I've seen every one of these on Netflix. That's not always the truth, but but in this case it is.
Oh, hello everyone. I'm back to talk to you about some spooky movies. You're really gonna like them? Oh, you're totally stupid. Anyway, we'll let this old man talk to you and tell you about some key movies that we both saw. Okay.
The first one I'd like to talk about is this one. The Abandon with Jason Patric. This is, of course, what the cover looks like on Netflix. Anyway, I found it's a creepy building horror film. You know, where they go into the creepy buildings? This one's a pretty creepy one. And the, I don't want to, a lot of these have twists or hidden things in them or things you don't want to spoil. This is one of them. And I don't really want to tell you what it is or why, but...
Oh, I love those scary movies when an old building and monsters came out and killed him. I hope this happens a lot. Sure. And it's a very sad movie. Yeah. All the monsters die.
I think it's very worth watching. I don't, in the instance where I share these, please don't think that I'm saying that you're going to love every one of these horror films without a doubt, and there's no way about it. You may hate them all, which is okay. I'm sharing movies with you either that grossed me out, or they're sad, or they're horrible, or they have there's a couple in here that have some really strange twist endings. And I like that. So this one is definitely worth it, I think. Check it out. I'm not going to tell you these movies are on Netflix or not at the moment, because as you know, they take them off sometimes. So you never know. But right now they are. But some will be on there, some won't be when you check these out, probably, depending on when you check my video out. The second film I'd like to talk about is a movie called The Hallow. Now, the cover does not look like this on Netflix. I liked this cover a lot. I thought it looked awesome. It used to be called The Woods, apparently. I didn't know it then. I saw it on Netflix as The Hallow. This is one of the movies where you've seen this kind of thing before, but the difference with this movie is I think it's done in a really interesting way. And
what I want to know is, does this movie have zombie babies? Yeah, that's all I really care about. If they don't have zombie movies, they suck.
yes, there is a zombie baby or babies in this movie, so I'm sure you will really like it and won't like any other movies on this plot. So yes, there are zombie babies.
It does? Some real zombie babies? That is totally cool.
Here's a movie that I was a little surprised. It's this one. It's called We Are Still Here. I know they changed the covers a lot on Netflix, but I think this is the current cover for We Are Still Here. This movie's getting some word of mouth because you've seen this kind of movie before, a haunted house, whether it be ghosts or demons or whatever, you've seen them. But it's done, I think it's an original film, and it's entertaining, it's interesting. I think it will keep you entertained. Definitely worth watching, I think.
Oh, this looks really cool. Is it really scary? Scary. I would like to see this movie, but I'm too young. It's R-rated and stuff. We are still here.
This movie is one of my favorite movies on the list. All of these 9 movies or whatever I'm reviewing today are among many, many, many movies I've seen in the last few months and maybe up to a year or so. So I tended to put all the ones on here that I really, really like. And this one here, The Last Shift. Or is it Last? No, Last Shift. This movie, I wouldn't say it scared the crap out of everybody who watched it, but this movie will grip you.
The Last Shift, it was really scary. It made me have nightmares. It was just a little bit scary, yeah. With lots of monsters in it and ghosties. It was chill cool.
A rookie police woman, if you want to say that, her first shift is in a old police building. The new police have moved over to the new building, and she has to cover this last shift in this old building, and some really, really rotten crap goes on. Definitely worth watching. I think it's very entertaining. I know that the slasher film has been done and redone many, many, many times.
I don't really like slasher movies. No, there's so many of them, and they kind of remind me of my childhood. Yeah, I wasn't really liking that too much. But to each his own.
So this movie, Hush, silence can be killer. It's a one line plot line like a lot of these movies. Deaf woman goes to house to watch House for Friends and just is arbitrarily picked out by a slasher who does really, really disgusting things to anybody that comes by or tries to help her and maybe her. Definitely worth checking out. Hush, I thought, was really an interesting film. Here's a movie that I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about. This is the kind of movie that travels by word of mouth, really. And then, before you know it, I believe this movie will achieve cult status after a while because it's just really good. The Babadook.
Oh, I like this movie so much. I went out and got one of these towels. It was so totally cool. You would like it. The Babadook. It was so scary. I like the Babadook, so I keep it in my room all the time.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. This is an interesting horror film. It doesn't rely on extreme graphic horror. In fact, exactly the opposite. There's like 2 seconds of graphic horror in this film, and I mean literally 2 seconds. The movie depends upon really very quiet scariness. There are things that jump out once in a while, but they're because you've been led along through these dark corridors and all of a sudden something happens, but it's cleverly done. And I think this is the first time I can say that, and I'm glad because now I can say there is a horror film. I think she even wrote this, Irish, Jennifer Kent. The first horror film I think that I've really liked, or maybe the first one I've ever seen, directed by a woman, which is kind of rare, so check it out. It definitely does not cheat you. It's really, really very cleverly done. Now we come to a couple films which unfortunately most people will not watch because they are subtitled in Spanish only, which is a shame because these 2 films are amazing. The first one I'm going to mention, Asmodexia, probably not even saying it right, probably Asmodexia in Spanish, is a demon possession type movie. It is an original horror film, so there's something about this movie that is either very odd or very twisted, but it's really, really amazing. It's about a young woman, not a little girl, a young woman who travels around the country with her grandfather, and it just seems like people that are demon possessed almost fall within her path. Really interesting what happens in this movie, but definitely check out Asmodexia. It's amazing.
This movie, Asma Dexia. It was so scary. I love the little creatures in it. They were so pretty. Yeah. The people crawling all over the ground and splattering in blood and stuff. It was totally cool, wasn't it? Yeah. It was scary but fun.
And here's another movie you won't be watching because it's Spanish subtitle, which is a shame. Mexico Barbaro. Mexico Barbaro.
Oh, this movie is really disgusting. Which is why I like it so much. Yeah, it was bloody and gross and all kinds of terrible things in it. But I liked it, yeah. It was really disgusting. I wish I could read. Then I'd know what else was going on. If I wanted to read, I'd go to school. Yeah.
Now this movie does attempt to be one of the most disgusting movies you watch. The gore is high and it's surprising. Of course, now that I've kicked you off, it's also the only film in the list I currently have that is an anthology film. This is relatively, they've been around for decades, but they seem to be really coming now since people's attention spans are getting shorter. But this is a movie that has 8 little tales in it, and it's very graphic and it's very strange. So right now, those are the best of what I've seen in a while. You won't like them all. I'm not saying you will, and I'm not saying you're going to think they're all the scariest thing you've ever seen or the coolest. A lot of them, I tend to gravitate sometimes if the film really surprises me or it has a twist ending, and I couldn't see it coming. Some of these films are like that. Some aren't. Some are just straightforward horror films. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching my little movie like usual, and thanks for tuning in, and I hope me and the Sweet Baboo have entertained you for a few minutes. Thanks a lot.
Well, I wanted to say goodbye to my millions and millions of fans on TV. Got a pretty big sneeze for such a little tiny baby. Hurrah, hurrah. Anyway, I want to say goodbye, and we will see you next time. Goodbye. Bye.